And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Let me tell you what. That's right. It's more than a feeling. We know. We've been through it. Those of us that have been paying attention, we know what this is. Just, man, it's so neon flash and freaking obvious. And guess what? Oh, what you want, what you vote, what you do, what you were promised, the limits on government, Constitution, all that, it don't count. No more. You're not going to be able to vote yourself free on this one neither. I can already see where this goes, that we've been through this. Now, I was telling Rosa off here, I didn't want to waste a lot of time, a lot of you guys already know about, but, I filed suit on a bunch of this stuff back in the mid-'90s because I could see what they were doing. It was blatantly in violation of the state constitution, and they were creating these levels of government, no elected officials that you could do. You couldn't challenge anything that they did, raising taxes, all this kind of stuff. They get municipal corporation status so that they could get, indebt you and bonds and all that kind of stuff, but you had nothing. Even though you have initiative, referendum, recall, and everything here in the state of Arizona, it did not apply to this new level of government that they created out of thin air, and they got judges to say, okay. Now, in my case, had 13 judges recuse themselves until they finally got one and said, I'll play. What do I get for it? That's how this works. You want to know, but government, if you just did, no. You give them the power to be able to do this kind of stuff, they do it. Now, Rosa, she's been in, she's filed her own little lawsuit stuff, too. Tell us all about it, please.
Well, I'll tell you that redevelopment is at the evil heart of United Nations Agenda 21 because it is a funding and implementation source for United Nations Agenda 21. Now, I was elected to a Citizens Advisory Board for a 1,100-acre redevelopment project through the center of this city in Northern California. And when I started looking into the documents, I realized that it was fraudulent. And so at first I went to the city and I said, hey, did you know your stuff here is fraudulent? And they responded by trying to get me off that board. And then after that, through a long series of things where we tried to get it on the ballot, couldn't get enough signatures, we ended up suing. I raised between around $500,000 in pro bono and donations to sue the city to stop this huge redevelopment project. And, you're not, like my dad, who's an attorney, says, fair is what comes to town at the end of the summer. So you cannot expect to get, a fair shake in court, but we did stop that project for 3 years. And they did have the power of eminent domain for 12 years. They still have it, but the economy has crashed that project. But I'll tell you, that redevelopment funds a lot of what you're seeing now. These smart growth projects, which are high-density urban development, I don't care how small your town is. If you're in Phoenix, it's all over the place there. Now, ICLEI is the International Council of Local Environmental Initiatives. Phoenix is a member. They pay dues to ICLEI. ICLEI does your greenhouse gas emissions monitoring and sets your milestones and your restrictions for it. Now, the United States, under Obama, has committed to an 80% reduction in greenhouse gases below 1990 levels by 2050. That'll put us back in 1934.
Okay, now I got to ask this question. Mm-hmm. Let us assume I come up with the new whiz-bang gizmo gadget, and a 13-year-old in his grandmother's basement with an ionic breeze and a toaster comes up with the new energy source, de la whatever. Do these guys go away then?
No, baby. No, because that's the green mask. This is about, you know what?
Don't you have a book called The Green Mask coming out?
Yes, I do. It's called Behind the Green Mask, UN Agenda 21. And you can get it if you go to my website, which is Democrats Against UN Agenda
21.com. Democrats Against UN Agenda 21.com. I bet you they didn't like that title.
I have really been attacked for that by the left. I've never had such an experience in my life as I have had many rude and obnoxious and lying, slanderous articles written about me.
Okay, now let's go ahead and address. I don't want to lose the point that we were making here. Let's say we have the energy. We're not doing greenhouse. We got so much energy. We're making our Uber machine that we're using it to suck out CO2, and they should just leave me alone. Is that what's going to happen?
No, because this is also a land and transportation use program, along with the fact that they're in your educational system, your healthcare system, your justice system. You're not getting away from it. But this is based on communitarian law, which says that this is all for the greater good, but the greater good is whatever the government says it is, and the ends justify the means.
Well, you're a Democrat, liberal, lefty. You don't think the government's doing what's in our best interest?
I don't know what I am at this point, but I do know that I support our Constitution and freedom, and I think that all of us, no matter how we identify politically, we need to get on board with this and wake up. And there's far more information than I can put out in a radio interview. But I think it's not like trying to get money from that book. That book is costing me more than I'm selling it for. The information there is so good that people need to get it. It is available. It's just that you have to put your effort out. This is civic duty. This is your civic duty to find out about this because we're in the end game.
Well, how bad is it? Let's say we got there's a. This has been a libertarian dream since forever, is that we're just going to go to space and government's not invited. Or we go out on the ocean 200 miles out and say, bite me, we're off your grid. Well, is there an effort to say, you're not allowed to leave? You're in our clutches. I mean, at what point are they really looking to corral in humanity in service of them, or what?
This is a global plan. Unless you're planning to, go live on the moon, and probably that's not going to be available either, you're not getting away from this. This is a global plan. And, I don't know, I mean, I'm not going to talk to you about libertarianism because I don't know that much about it.
Well, it sounds like what you're advocating is, liberal government.
Well, what I'm saying is that it's important, laws are important, okay? I don't want some guy to think he can walk in my house because my door means nothing to him because everything is open to everyone.
No, I mean, you're advocating that, that you're against this government, because what they have is this liberal type of what some people, conservatives, would look at and say, oh, you want, government and everything. Well, of course, conservatives are just as fascist. They just want them to big enough government to do what they want them to do.
Mm-hmm,
so,
right.
I mean, it sounds to me like you're becoming libertarian. I want to be in the leave me alone zone.
You know what? Everybody who talks to me thinks that I'm in their camp, whatever camp it is, and I'm okay with that.
Leave me alone zone. Yesterday I was talking to Karen Kwiatkowski. I just tell the audience this. I was saying that, and I'm going, it sounds like we just want to be in the leave me alone zone. So right then,
right.
I went and got that site, leavemealonezone.com and org. Hello, it's all mine now.
Good for you. And you know what? Hey, the Constitution says it. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Isn't that keeping your nose out of my business?
That's my vote.
The pursuit of happiness is.
So where do you think this is going? I mean, they're wanting to come after me as an individual, or is it just everything that I produce?
Well, eventually, of course, it's going to be you as an individual too. And I know this sounds crazy. If people are just sitting here listening to this, they might think we're kind of nuts or something. But, this plan, first of all, you've already got communitarian law with the Kelo decision. That said that, property can be taken by your government for private use, even though the Constitution says public use only. Then you've got, your housing where you're having all these smart growth things built in the middle of your town, and your rural areas are not having roads built out to them anymore. And they're even talking about demolishing suburbs and turning them into green space, and then they're going to restrict your access to those green areas and restrict you from being out in the rural areas. That is happening now. So then you want to ask where your food comes from. I get into food sheds in my book and all of those issues. And when you're talking about restrictions, you're not talking about less laws. You're talking about more laws. You're talking about if you have a fat kid, obesity is going to be a crime. If you're a parent with a fat child, you're in trouble.
If you're a family with children, you're in trouble. Unless they're for the state. When we come back, we're going to, where does this go? And what do we do to stop it? I mean, we just sitting there as observers going na-na-na? Or is there something to do? Or how bad is it going? And what happens about The economy can't sustain what they want to do. I don't know. They spin us into dead oblivion already. What's next? I don't know. We'll talk about it with Rosa Koire in just a little bit.